Hey there, welcome to episode 422 of the Find Your Food Voice podcast. We have Vinny Welsby answering a letter today for someone who is trying really hard to break free from dieting and diet culture. Let's get to it. Welcome, dear voice finder, to the Find Your Food Voice podcast. I am Julie Duffy Dillon, registered dietitian and your host. Today's episode is a letter episode. And if you're new to the podcast, welcome. It's so nice to meet you. A letter episode is my favorite way to connect with you. These are letters that listeners just like you write, and they address it to food. And then me and a guest, well, we sort through the letter and hopefully give you some pointers on steps moving ahead. And while this doesn't replace anything that you'd get from an in-person healthcare provider, we hope that the information helps you just to give you some more pointers to maybe bring to that healthcare provider. But also, if you are not the letter writer, you may find yourself really relating to what this letter writer is saying. And that alone is worth it all for me, because you are not alone in your struggle with your relationship with food. You're not alone on how hard recovery is. And I'm excited for you to meet Vinny Welsby if you've never met them before. I have loved connecting with Vinny over the years, and they were on my podcast at least, gosh, it had to be 6 or 7 years ago. We'll put a link to the first episode that Vinny was on in the show notes. But they are someone that every so often I hear from people in real life who've connected with them, and Vinny has helped them with their complicated, just like surviving diet culture and trying to actually do the work of moving away. And that's what I love so much about this episode is you're going to hear like the logistics, the steps on what it looks like to go from feeling like this really complicated relationship with food to like making the like movements forward, and how to continue to have that momentum and not get in that shame spiral. Vinny has really practical insights that I just love so much. A few of the things that we talk about are how to add something called internal family systems to your process of repairing your relationship with food. And also, how is diet culture like a cult, but even worse? It's even harder to get out of. And I can't wait for you to hear how Vinny breaks this down. Before we hear this episode's letter and hear from Vinny, I want to share with you that the Find Your Food Voice book is available for purchase anywhere books are sold. I wrote this book for you if you have a complicated history with food, whether you have been trying to find a new way to eat outside of dieting, whether you are recovering from an eating disorder, or that you've been taught through your family that you have to look a certain way and eat a certain way. Find Your Food Voice is the book to read if you've tried intuitive eating or other non-diet tools and you just need more. You need more support. You need more in-depth ways and strategies, tools to help you to just continue on with this really important work. I always say it's hard work, but it's good work. And this is really important for you to feel at home in your body and to feel like your relationship with food is actually satisfying and pleasurable, and adding health to that. You can do those things. Find Your Food Voice is a book, again, that I wrote for you to help you in this space. You can get to all the details on how to get your own copy at julieduffydillon.com. Be sure to check out my Substack. If you're new to Substack, this is basically a place where we can get into the weeds of all the nitty gritty of any topic that you are hoping to talk about. Substack is like blogging in 2025, and I have found a new home there. I'm not on Facebook or Instagram, but I'm on Substack, and you can get to it at findyourfoodvoice.substack.com. There you can get free and paid articles that help you to apply the Find Your Food Voice principles with helping you to move away from dieting. If you also struggle with insulin resistance and PCOS, that's where I do a lot of that work. You can get to it at findyourfoodvoice.substack.com. All right. We are going to take a very quick sponsor break. Then you're going to hear this episode's letter and the interview with Vinny Welsby. Dear Food, I'm really leaning into this anti-diet thing and healing my relationship with you, but it feels like my world is on fire. I find myself wanting to get through this phase quicker, to binge information and learning in order to not have to feel every step on this journey. when I make a choice to indulge in my previous off limits or shamed versions of you, I feel so much excitement and shame and anxiety. It feels almost too much to manage. Every ounce of growth feels like fighting with a bear. This weekend, I noticed new freedom and boundaries and can feel a little bit of my own food voice, even when triggered while I was out with some friends. And I was proud. But then for 2 days, I felt like my mind was dragging me back to the beginning. I could feel every pound, every roll, an ounce of fat, and it felt like my body was screaming that I'm not healthy and that I'm doing this wrong. I woke up this morning with a cold and was scared of the thought of the doctor's office and the inevitable scale because lots of days I do feel like I'm growing in acceptance of my body. And the last 3 months, my relationship with you has healed a lot. And I'm seeing so many glimpses of peace and joy. And this excited me. But what if I look down at the scale and all of those feelings go away? I know what you're thinking. Just don't look. That only works half the time. I feel like I have worked too hard for this to come crashing down and go back to restricting you. But I'm exhausted and scared. The food and diet noise on the road to recovery feels like kicking a hornet's nest, and I do not know how to get out. But I keep wondering what people think when they look at me, if my body is changing. I think I am scared of this being just another season, of waking up one day and finding out that this too was a phase, a diet of sorts or a fast from dieting. And I'm scared that then I will realize that health is no longer attainable because I trusted you too much. And now I'm too attached and unwilling or unable to make adjustments for long-term bodily health. I am ashamed to admit that I am too scared of gaining more weight. And I still secretly hope that healing my relationship with you will help me get smaller. I am scared of what my family thinks and am unsure how to be confident in my new journey with you when it is so countercultural. Thanks for listening. I do love you, food, and I'm so excited to potentially have more peace with you. I just feel estranged. Love, a 29-year-old OCD/ADHD brain with 16 years of family diet trauma, or a fat woman trying to embrace that word as strength and flexibility and not a curse. All right. This is our episode's letter, and now we're going to go ahead and speak with Vinny Welsby. Hey there, Vinny. How are you?
Of my drink. I'm fantastic. I thought we had more than 2 seconds.
Do you want me to say it again or just keep it in this way?
No, this is good.
Yeah.
How are you, Judy?
No, I'm glad you're a little bit more hydrated than you were 3 seconds ago. And it's so good to see you. It's been too long.
Honestly, I
long.
need to get some liquid into my brain. Such a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
And it has, how long ago do you think I was on the podcast? Maybe like 6 years ago?
A long time ago. It was probably before we knew anything about coronaviruses and stuff like that. You know?
Shit, and that was 2019.
Yeah. I think it was probably 2019, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Never. Time moves so quickly. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you for having me back. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too. And I have heard about you over the years since the last time we talked, because every once in a while I would be working with someone who was like, do you know Vinny? And I was like,
stop
yes.
It. Really?
Yes. That like, they were part of communities you were hosting and things like that. And you were bringing so much support. So I'm glad that we have a chance to go through this letter. I know you read through it because you showed me your notes before we pushed record. Yeah, so I always like to start with like, what's the big picture? What is this person going through? Like, what would you do? What would you say is like the big thing that this person's struggling with?
Yeah, I mean, that letter was so fucking good.
So fucking good.
It was really good. It sounds like, there was so much in there that I kind of pulled a couple of threads, and it sounds like they're struggling with how quickly or slowly the journey is taking, and that they're doing it wrong, and that it's going to fail. They're going to go back to the old way, is what I'm hearing.
Sounds like, feels like I'm fighting so hard, right?
Yeah,
they've been working so hard.
Yeah, they said feels like fighting with a bear. And I was like, oh, I wrote that quote down. That's a lot. That's a lot.
I highlighted that one myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any bear
Yeah.
reference, it's culturally relevant, but
Yeah.
and that's probably an appropriate way to refer to this experience. And yeah, like they have worked so hard, and I get the sense too that like life keeps like lifing. It keeps just throwing the same stuff and probably more and heavy hitters and more obstacles. And so yeah, they're afraid of like losing it all.
Something I'm thinking about when reading that letter is that I did a podcast episode about diet culture. Is diet culture a cult? And in our society, if you're in a cult, you leave a cult, people are like, fuck yeah, you left the cult. This is amazing. With diet culture, debates if it's a cult or not. But diet culture, when you leave diet culture, you're not going to get the same reaction. People are going to say, go back into the cult. Go, keep doing it, even though it was harming you and all sorts of things. So it makes it really, really difficult to not jump back in because everyone's telling you your decision is wrong, apart from a small minority of people who are saying, maybe this is there's a different route.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of why like having people who are either going through the same thing or have been there a little bit longer, who have ditched the cult, and have similar like identities, like that's so powerful to help you stay, I don't know, grounded in what you know to be true. So, okay, let's think about what this letter writer can do. Like, what comes to mind for you that this person can do in this place?
Is first off is two things. Knowing the process of unlearning this, the unlearning journey, and two, internal family systems. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
Sure.
So
yeah.
First, the unlearning journey. I've got a post on my Instagram where it goes over the kind of 6 stages of unlearning, unlearning anti-fat bias and like body hate type thing, and diet culture. So most people are at the stage where they believe that dieting is good, fat bodies are bad. And if you are in a bigger body, then you're unattractive, unhealthy, etc., etc. That's the first stage. Next, something will happen. Next stage, number 2, there's some sort of catalyst. Maybe you've been dieting for 20 years and finally you're like, this is not working. Something happens where you begin to explore. 3, that exploration is happening and you intellectually understand that dieting isn't working for you, that you can be fat and healthy or attractive, or you're unlearning those biases, but you've got some a lot of bias around it. Like intellectually you know it, but in your brain no. Number 4 is people will say, listen, I find fat people attractive. I am really not into engaging with diet culture, but for me, I know I am unhealthy if I put on weight. I know I should really be watching what I eat. So it's okay for others, but not me. The next stage, number 5, begins to appreciate their body and accept the changes in their relationship to food. And then number 6 is really embodying the reality that the issue was never to do with your body, but it was to do with power and oppression. So this person, it sounds like they're between 4, 5, 6, which says...
That's what I was wondering. Okay. Yes.
They've done so much work. They've done so much work.
And no one can take that away. That work can never be erased.
No.
That's the thing that I hear them being so scared about. Like, no one can take that away from you, no matter what diet you go on next. Even if like that happens, like you can't take away the work you've done.
Yeah.
I don't want to unlearn diet again.
Yeah.
No.
You can't unlearn. It's like, for me, unlearning diet culture and anti-fatness is gambling. The house always wins. You can still gamble and, know that the house always wins, but you can't unlearn that the house always wins. You always know it's not going to work if you engage in dieting, etc. The other side of things is it sounded like a lot of shame was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And shame and blame. I'm not doing it right. What if I'll fail, and what, the environment that they're in with other people. A lot of shame is happening. And so offering self-compassion and thinking about that, they said, feels like fighting with a bear. Thinking about that bear. Internal family systems is a framework that people use in therapy, but there's a book on it, No Bad Parts. It's on my bookshelf. I was like,
Yes.
No Bad Parts.
Yes.
So fucking good. The in case
So
of people
good.
aren't familiar with it, the idea is that in our brains, there are all these different parts of us. None of them are good or bad. They're just who you are. And you might need to tend to them because now you're an adult. You're the highest version of yourself. And that part that's saying, oh my God, what if, and that kind of hangover from eating food and then feeling guilt is that potentially younger version of ourselves who's so fucking scared, who sees you doing things that's outside of their zone of comfort and is doing everything in their power to alert you to the fact that you're in danger, that you're going to be judged, etc. And now as an adult, you can look to that young child version of you, and instead of saying like, fuck you, shut up, whatever, what would you do to that younger version of you? You would say, oh my goodness, I understand it so much that you're really worried that we are, whatever it is that you're worrying about. But don't worry, I got this. Come on, take my hand. I'll show you.
Yes.
And it's just compassion versus shaming yourself. And I find that personally in my own life to be so powerful because whenever I have these thoughts come up, I'm just like, thank you, brain. I get it. Listen, I understand what you're saying. And don't worry, I'm driving the bus. You can sit down, put your seatbelt on and relax. I've got this. And I love you.
Yes. In my parts work that I've been doing with my individual therapist this past year, I find myself doing a lot of if you're not watching on YouTube, you can't see this, but my therapist taught me just to bring them in, just bring them in, just give them a hug, because that process of acknowledging this part with all this information that's scared or, not able to appreciate that we don't need that kind of warning system because we were driving the bus, but that arguing and the shaming of it, just pushes it further away. But so just, come here, let me just give you a hug. If you see me walking down the street and I'm doing this, I'm just doing my parts work.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is about that part is because they're a young person, and it could be different for everyone, this person, they're young, they don't have the emotional capacity to understand that eating food is probably not going to mean that you're going to put on 75,000 pounds in 3 seconds, and even if you did put on 75 pounds in 3 seconds, can you survive that? Can you thrive with a bigger body, etc.? That nuance, they're not able to do that. And then if we're getting in an argument with them saying, no, and being unkind to them, we are not talking to them in a way that they can learn and understand and feel safe. They're not going to feel safe. So helping them feel safe and sit down is the idea, which can be difficult, right? To recognize that voice is present.
Yeah. And I think that I'm appreciating hearing what you're saying is a big part of this is because this person is doing a ton of work. This letter alone, I was like, this person's doing a ton of work. This is hard shit that they have been unpacking for a while now. And that's very impressive. And as they're acknowledging all these different pieces to bring compassion forward instead of let me just try to ignore it, let me shame it or blame it away. The other thing that I'm so glad you brought up the family systems because I wasn't reading it through that lens at all. And I love now my brain is going in those directions. And so something that really spoke to me in this letter was the fear of like losing it all. And I think I brought that up in the beginning. Like
Yeah.
there's this, and I can't see exactly where it is, but like mentioning something about like doing all this work and then just so scared. Oh yeah, I think I'm most scared of this being just another season of waking up one day and finding out that this too is a phase. And I now looking at through a family systems lens, I'm thinking about that part that was thought dieting was the only way. Like that didn't have that any other option yet. And maybe that's the part that's coming through in some of this letter. And that's again to say to you, letter writer, like you've done so much work. No one can take that away from you. Your learning is there. And there seems to be, I don't know if you see this too, but like there seems to be almost like this point of no return that I see some people experiencing in they're moving away from dieting, where like they just like learn too much and they see too much and they feel too much that like they may like relapse or whatever word you want to use, but like there's just like a point of no return. Like it's just not going to go to the same place ever again, because especially when you do start to see the oppressive systems as a part of it, you can only go so far before you're like, oh wait, no, this does not feel good.
Like you might half-heartedly do a diet,
half-heartedly, yes,
and then you're like, oh, this is no, yeah. And the other thing that I thought when reading this is that, like I mentioned about the cult thing, that the difference between my life when I first came out of diet culture versus now, I'm not sure that I would be able to survive as effectively in the life that I had when I had just left diet culture, because I was surrounded by people who were like, oh my God, how many calories is in that packet of ketchup? Or, I didn't have any fat friends. I didn't know anyone that was doing this. I was just in the waters of anti-fatness and diet culture. Now it's totally the opposite. And that's not going to change overnight. It's like a slow shifting away to liberation, away from oppression. And just being, one study has shown that just being in the quote fat group, the in group of fat people, the fat society, fat culture, just being in that group surrounded by other people. I'm not saying that this person is fat, but you can do it with diets, but it helps protect you from anti-fat bias, external and internal. And so being in community, whether it's a Facebook group, following people on Instagram, whatever, or in person, just that act is going to help you survive anti-fatness and diet culture when it comes up. And this person is already probably doing a lot. The other side of it is, I have another post on my Instagram which talks about how to protect yourself: remove, reduce, and protect. So at that stage in my life, it wasn't possible for me to say to all my friends, you're dead to me now because you talk about the calories in ketchup. Like that's not how it works most of the time, right? And so removing, if possible, the amount of time that you spend talking about diets or watching that TV show, Bikini Babes dating show, instead of watching 10 hours, watching 8 hours. If you can remove people or things, and that feels good for you, then do it. If not, that reduction can be really helpful. And if you can't reduce it, say, for example, your boss is always like, oh my God, diets, love, whatever, protecting yourself. And so that looks like, maybe listening to your podcast, going on Instagram and finding those fat people that you love. And that type of support of meeting yourself where you're at right now can be really helpful.
So when they're in that space of fear, and you mentioned the stages, and this person is probably in the 4, 5, 6 zone, or like in the 4 to 5, trying to make it to 6 zone.
Yeah, maybe sometimes 6, and
it's probably a blurry thing, but like there's some things you may be able to reduce, and then there may be times where you have to add. Like that's what I'm hearing you say from all that. Like, and hearing that, I'm like, there's so much gray in this.
Mm.
And what we know about oppressive systems is they love the black and white. They like to have the all or nothing, neat and tidy. And that's bullshit. Like that's the trap, because that doesn't exist. None of us are there. No matter what we do. And so it'll always feel like we're failing. So if we think that's the only way to know we're doing it right, well, that doesn't exist. So like the way you describe that, I feel like it makes it accessible. And I have a feeling, letter writer, you're probably doing a lot of that. So like what if you are doing, you're further along than you're giving yourself, like acknowledging, you know?
I think so. Yeah. I think so. Yeah. Because if you think about people at the first stage, which is where most people are, is that they like diets are good and fat people are not so great. They've already done so much work to get out of that. And the other thing that I thought that was important was something I talk about is unpacking your suitcase. And so I like to visualize beliefs as suitcases. And if we open them, that's where we've collected all the evidence. And so you can pick up a pair of socks and it'll be like, there's that time that my mum told me that I was ugly because my body was big or whatever. Lots of evidence. And so we have lots of evidence that dieting is good, fat is bad. And from time to time, those pieces of evidence in that suitcase will slip out and will pop into our brain. And instead of thinking, oh my God, it's so annoying that I can't stop thinking, I wish I could be thin, which is one thing that they also said. I secretly wish I could be smaller. So many people have got that exact same. But what if my body is the one that happens to become thin from intuitive eating? It could happen. Hopefully it's me. Anyway, and so if those thoughts come up, grab them and thank them. Because that is evidence. That is that's something that you can explore. Your brain is letting you open that suitcase and see what's inside. And when we know what's inside, we can lift up that pair of socks, give it a smell, and be like, "Oh God, that's old. Chuck it away." You know,
so nothing like them stinky socks.
Yeah, we don't need them stinky socks in there. And then you can do things to fill up the other suitcase that says it's okay to not diet, it's okay to be fat, whatever. So instead of, again, shaming yourself for when those thoughts come up, just, thank your brain for supplying you with the evidence of where you could next focus when you're in your next stage of the journey.
Yeah. This sounds like so... I mean, I know this is the work. It also sounds so exhausting. Is there anything that you encourage folks to do to like just keep going? Because that sounds like a lot of like mental, like just, I don't know, like it's just, there's a lot of, especially in certain phases where it's going to be a lot of like taking in different messages.
Yeah. I think one thing that people forget is that this person, I think they said something like a couple of decades that they've been dieting. Many of us have been living our whole lives in a society that values thin bodies. So, and I think they said that they've been doing this for 3 months. 3 months will not erase decades. It's not going to take decades, though, to unlearn that stuff. But we have to break it down and not look at the whole thing. Like if you were to climb Kilimanjaro, you're not going to be like getting to base camp 1 and then looking at the top and being like, for fuck's sake, why am I not at the top yet? I can't believe it. I'm a piece of shit. You're going to hopefully say, yes, I made it to base camp 1. I'm a fucking badass. And then tomorrow think about base camp 2. So taking stock in what you've already achieved and know that, getting to the up to the top of the mountain, it's going to be hard, but if we take it one step at a time, we can do it. Some way that you can measure that is through setting goals, setting SMART goals. And so, because a lot of this is very, we can't touch it. We don't know how to measure how much work we've done. But if there are things in your life that you want to do or are not doing because of the way that you feel about your body or around food, setting yourself really doable, but still a little bit challenging goals and seeing if you can work towards achieving them. And not goals like, I want to love my body, because that's not a SMART goal. A goal could be, I want to wear a bathing suit with a cover up at the beach for 3 minutes with my kids. Literally like that. And then if you achieve it, fuck yeah, base camp 1, I'm a badass.
Yeah.
Etc., etc., etc.
Yeah. So break it down so much, instead of like the all or nothing thing. I think there's like parts to making it smaller. And I hear so much of like harm reductive kind of like terminology too that we're talking about, that again, I think is important, that is not usually offered in the medical model, or especially with diet culture, you know? Yeah. Excuse me. So I appreciate that. Before we move on away from the letter, is there anything else you want to mention about the letter?
Just that I just want to give this person a huge hug and a huge high five and just be like, you fucking got it. You're going to do it. You're doing everything right.
Total badass.
You are awesome. Just big fatty high fives and hugs.
Awesome. Okay. So I want to know about what you're working on these days.
Oh.
Because it has been so long.
Yeah.
Is there anything that's like in your wheelhouse or like in your neck of the woods that you're working on that's like you want to tell the audience about?
Yeah. So a couple of things. So I've got Fierce Fatty, which is helping individuals, but I also have now Weight Inclusive Consulting, which is where I go in and train organizations. And so if you want a part of, it could be a part of the diversity world, or like if you work in healthcare or whatever, if you want someone like me to come in, I do that type of stuff. Also, I've done a couple of surveys, which were pretty cool, which one talks about fat at work and the other is fat in healthcare, where I've surveyed hundreds of fat people. We've got stats and we've got stories, and they are pretty awful, as you can imagine. And so both of those reports you can get for free, and they are, don't want to toot my own horn, but they're really fucking good.
I'm sure they are.
Yeah. So you can go check those out. If you'd like some stats and information on what it's like being a fat person in the world, TLDR on it is, it's pretty shit. But also there's hope that many healthcare providers and some workplaces are now finally on board. There's been a huge shift in the last 5 years of how we think about this stuff. And you've probably seen it, Julie, in the difference in things. You know, I've been doing this work for 12 years. The difference between the way that we view dieting and bodies is just so different now from then.
Yes. Especially from a clinical kind of perspective, because I think like culturally we kind of like a step forward, step back. So like I still see sometimes there's like, especially in the US where I am, you know, but 15 years ago, I started working with a new professor at a college near me who does like the last part of training for dietitians. We do like a year internship. And so I had been coming to them for a while and teaching a class, but she's like, no, I want to redo the internship to make it only weight inclusive.
Well, this was 15 years ago.
Yes.
What?
And so, but it took time though. It didn't just overnight. Right. And so I just spoke to the class this past week, and, you know, 15 years ago, no one knew about weight inclusive care, intuitive eating. Maybe one student who had gone through like eating disorder treatment would know about it, but it wasn't the norm. So now by the time people come into the internship now, everyone knows what it is. I mean, so like right there, it's already easier for like clinicians to get it, because then we can get to the meat of it.
Exactly.
Okay, let's, instead of like convincing or like informing that this exists, they already know. And so and they have questions. They're like, but wait, how do? And I'm like, oh, these are good questions. Like they're like, what do we actually do when, you know, people come in, they're worried about their health, but their weight and blah blah blah, you know, like, and so we can get right into it. And so like things are moving forward. So your work, yes, I love it. That just sounds so great.
Your work too.
Oh, thank you.
All of it.
Well, I really think there's lots of people in the university system that have done amazing things to like, and put things and taken risks to like bring people like me in just to say some of those things. So, so I appreciate them, but it's nice to see change. And you, letter writer, will see the change too.
So that, yes, let her write, we'll see the change too. Let her write in 10 years' time, we'll be like, oh my God, this is what I saw.
Or like, look at me, look at my little me from long ago who was, I don't mean little in like a insulting way, but just like a younger version of me who hadn't seen the whole thing yet. But now, you're going to look back and be like, wow, I've come far. And I already was so brave. I mean, that's the point of this letter so much for me. It was like, this person is so brave. They're doing the hard things, like keep going. And anyway, we got to go, but it was so nice to chat with you. Thank you for coming on. If we'll put all the like links in the show notes, but like someone listening is driving the car, they can't write right now. Where can they find you?
Fierce Fatty. Fatty. You can find me everywhere on that.
Okay. Love it. Thanks for making it easy for us.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Vinny Welsby. And thank you so much, letter writer, for submitting this letter. And listener, do you have a dear food letter within you that just needs to come out? I would love to share it on an episode. Head over to my website. It's julieduffydillon.com. Go to the contact section, and that's where you can submit a letter. I'm looking forward to hanging out with you in October. It's the end of September as you're listening to this, and I'm looking at my spreadsheet here and what's coming up next in the Find Your Food Voice podcast. We have a great discussion with Dr. Jen Huber. She is someone who has an expertise in midlife and menopause. And also we are going to be hearing an interview with Bonnie Roney from the Diet Culture Rebel podcast. And of course, I'm sure there's going to be a chat with my team in there. And in October in Substack, I'm going to be sharing with you this really intense research deep dive that I'm doing right now, the whole month of September, on PCOS and GLP-1s. I'm going to be sharing with you the research that I've learned so far, things I'm hearing on the street, putting it all together in a handy document. And that is just for paid subscribers. And I hope you can check it out. So you can get to my Substack where I have free and paid posts on there. You can get to it at findyourfoodvoice.substack.com. All right. That's enough for me today. I look forward to being in your ears in 2 weeks with another episode of Find Your Food Voice. Until then, take care.
Home is with you wherever that may